Is investing in the market too risky for you? What if I told you that there was one type of investment that can guarantee you a return on your investment for little to no risk? What type of investment are you talking about, you might ask? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. It's called the GIC. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what a GIC is, should you invest in a GIC, and what I think about GICs in general. Before we begin, please remember to subscribe and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm for more videos regarding financial planning, financial investing, job search, as well as financial comedy. So what is a GIC? The GIC, also known as the Guaranteed Investment Certificate. Our neighbors in the US might know this as CD, the Certificates of Deposits. Now, GICs are products most likely offered by banks that will offer you a guaranteed return on investment after a fixed period of time. Now, the actual rate of interest of your investment could differ. Now, what I mean by could differ, I'll explain later on in this video. But in general, the type of GICs could be different. It could be a variable rate GIC, or it could be a fixed rate GIC. And the time when you buy the GIC, the rates could differ as well based on the economy. Now, because GICs are guaranteed investments, so unless the bank, goes bankrupt, you're almost always going to get your investment back plus the interest rate. Your rate of return will probably or almost always be lower than the market. So for example, the S&P 500 usually has an annualized return of about 10%. GICs is not going to be anywhere close to that. Most GICs offer you a rate of return of about inflation, so during a good economy it could be a little bit higher because the government's interest rate is a little bit higher, but during bad economies it could be lower because the government's interest rates again is lower. And again, it also depends on the length of your GIC, the terms and conditions of your GIC as well, because those play a factor. Well, exactly how many types of GICs are there out there from these financial institutions? Well, the truth of the matter is there's hundreds of them, and in this video I can't describe all of them, so I'll describe the most common few GICs out there offered by these financial institutions. Now, each of these products has its own pros and cons, so after describing them to you, maybe you can be the judge to see if these products are the right investment choice for you. Now, first of all, the most common type of GICs there are out there, the non-redeemable fixed rate GICs. It is a seller's promised fixed interest rate payable or paid to you at the end of your fixed term. For example, if you invest $10,000 at a 1-year GIC for a 1.5% interest rate, you will get a return of your principal, which is $10,000, as well as $150 in interest at the end of your term. Sounds simple enough? In general, the longer your term for GIC, the higher the interest rate. Well, of course, they better give you a higher interest rate if they're going to lock up your money for a longer period of time. However, even at those super long-term GICs, you're really just breaking even with inflation most of the time. And by the way, EQ Bank offers some of the highest GIC rates in Canada, and even they only offer 2.25% for a 10-year term GIC. Obviously, the pros are that the money that you invested into this GIC is generally safe. However, one very big disadvantage is that you do have to wait out your entire term to claim your interest payment as well as your principal, and not everybody can afford to have their money being locked up. And also, some banks will penalize you if you cash out these non-redeemable fixed rate GICs before the term is up. So you do really have to read the fine lines when you purchase these products. Well, the second most common type of GICs are the redeemable type of fixed rate GICs. Now, obviously, as the name suggests, these GICs are redeemable before the term is up. Well, that's great. What's the catch? Well, obviously, because these type of GICs benefits the buyers a little bit more, you do get a lower interest rate than your non-redeemable types of GICs. I mean, just look at TD Bank's cashable GIC interest rate. This is just sad. You're not even getting close to inflation. Oh man, that sucks. What's the pros then? As you know, the interest rate fluctuates from time to time, and so do the interest rates for these high interest rate savings accounts for these banks. While no banks are going to give you the same interest rate for 10 years in a row because the central bank always changes its interest rates. So imagine you see a cashable GIC interest rate at 3% for some reason. And honestly, some reason indeed, that's extremely high, but for the sake of this example, let's assume it's 3%. And you feel like the interest rate will drop in the next couple months. Well, with the cashable fixed rate GIC, you can actually lock up that rate for the next however long your term is, and when the interest rate does drop, your rate is locked at 3%, so the drop in interest rate wouldn't affect you at all. Now for the second example, say you locked in your GIC interest rate at 1% and now the interest rate for GIC products are at 3%. You can cash out your old GICs immediately and immediately lock in the new 3% GIC rate. So one of the biggest pros, as you can see from my examples here, is that these redeemable GICs is a little bit more flexible than these non-redeemable GICs I mentioned earlier. However, as you know, these GICs, because of the flexibility, you do get a lower interest rate than what you would get if you bought a non-redeemable GIC. And it's not like these type of GICs are super flexible as well. Many of these banks will lock up your money for at least 30, 60, or even 90 days before you can cash out these GICs. But you know what, all that doesn't matter because in general, none of these cashable or redeemable GICs ever beat inflation. So unless these financial institutions are giving you a great deal, so for example, they're giving you an interest rate of 3% when the interest rate right now is at an all-time low, then yeah, go for it. But for me, I personally wouldn't invest my money into these cashable GICs. Well, the third type of GICs I'm going to be describing today are the variable rate GICs. So as the name suggests, depending on the institution's prime rate, your interest rate changes. Like fixed rate GICs, these come in redeemable and non-redeemable types. And because your interest rates keep changing because, well, it's a variable interest rate, these products are very similar to high interest rate savings accounts. In fact, I would argue that high interest rate savings accounts could benefit you more because as a GIC, it does have its limiting factors. It does lock up your money a little bit more. It's not as flexible as a high interest rate savings account. I mean, I could be wrong here. You let me know in the comments down below. So how are GICs taxed? So first of all, if GICs are purchased under a registered account, so for example TFSA or RRSP, you don't get taxed. So all the interest rate that you earned will also not be taxed if it's under a registered account. However, if the GIC purchased is not under a registered account, it will be taxed at your marginal tax rate. So for that reason alone, I would suggest that if you do have the contribution room inside your registered account, put the GIC under your registered account so that your interests won't get taxed. So, in conclusion, what do I think about GICs in general? Personally, I really wouldn't invest in it because it's so inflexible. I would rather just put the money inside a high interest rate savings account. Some of these high interest rate savings accounts already offer a very high interest rate, for example EQ Bank for example. EQ Bank has a history of offering a higher than normal interest rate compared to their competition for their high interest rate savings account, so that's a great place to put your money instead of having your money locked up in a GIC. However, that being said, I do have one GIC that I do want to recommend to my viewers right now. And that GIC will be EQ Bank's 3-month TFSA GIC. Now, this is as of April of 2021, so the rates might not last. While the interest rates right now are really low, EQ Bank's TFSA product is offering a 3-month GIC at 2.3%. Lock it down right now if you want a safe investment, because believe me, at 2.3% the interest rates are so low right now. 2.3% is super high for an interest rate for GICs. And honestly, this interest rate will not last in the future because, as you know, the interest rates are really low. So EQ Bank is basically offering you 2.3% as a promotion for their new product. I mean, just look at the other banks. None of them even come close to 2.3%, and well, they're offering pretty sad numbers. I mean, yes, the 3-month GIC for EQ Bank's TFSA product is a non-redeemable GIC, but it's only 3 months, so your money won't be locked there for long. If you're interested in EQ Bank, please sign in with the link down below for a free $20 when you put in $100 into EQ Bank. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below about what you think about GICs. Did you invest in any? Please remember to subscribe and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm for more videos regarding investing. Thank you all, and I'll see you next time.